Well, I hope that Horde's at least buying these in bulk. Here's a look at the Mattel Master Universe New Eternia, the Mattel Creations Horde Trooper. The Horde Empire spreads across the decimated remains of New Eternia like a virus. Horde commands his legions of Horde troopers to attack and take all as prisoners, each destined for the Fright Zone. These pitiable souls are then mind-wiped, brainwashed, and retrained as Horde troopers, perpetuating the cycle until Horde rules the entire planet. I suppose the best part about mind-wiping your troops is that you can then forget to pay them. Well, I didn't forget to pay for this Horde trooper. I ended up ordering this from the Mattel Creations site. He was selling for 49 Canadian dollars. That's not bad, considering the size of the figure that he is. He's going to come with some accessories, too. We'll look at all those accessories in a second. First, though, let's, as we always do, take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. Probably should not have had him so far away. Why am I reaching this far? The Horde Trooper, awkwardly, is going to stand at 8.5 inches in height, or roughly about 22 centimeters tall. I probably moved him back this far so it can have some space around him to bring in all the other figures, like, for example, Horde. Now, if you're looking at Horde, I'm just kind of doing the math in my head. A figure like this in Canada probably would have been about $35 if I could. I can't even get that out. Had I had a chance to find any of these figures, though, in the wild, I probably would have expected to pay about $35 for them. So what you're getting here for a difference of the two figures, that's about $10. And I guess that's not bad at all. Certainly not bad either when you bring in like the new Etheria She-Ra. Now, this was a lot bigger of a figure than the original mold that they used for also Catra. So, you know, there's some size differences there. If you haven't, by the way, had the chance to check out my new Etheria She-Ra review, plug, shameless, feel free to give that a watch. Here's also what he looks like with Shadow Weaver. Why not as well bring in Grizzlor? And seeing as also that we're looking at the new version, the new Eternia version of the Horde Trooper, why not bring in like the original Horde Trooper? Now, this isn't obviously, to be fair, the original Horde Trooper, but this is the closest thing to that. This was the one that we got from the Mattel Master Universe Origins line. Oh, I think I also know why I brought him back that far, too. It's also to bring in the pedestal stand that the figure comes included with as well. What, he does? Technically, yeah. I mean, he does have a box that technically stores one of his accessories that we'll look at in a second. But then when you take that out of the box, there is at least a place to then store the figure. And then in the inside packaging, this actually would have looked this way. I would have taken it out of the box like that. There's a double-sided background. I don't think this background works at all. I mean, who's really... It's like those 70s and 80s Halloween costumes where, hey, I'm He-Man, but it's like a picture of He-Man. No one's doing that. He-Man's not doing that. But this is a case where I don't think I would ever really display this behind the Horde Trooper. Basically, you would just bend that and put that behind the figure just like that. Yeah? Kind of stupid, isn't it? Or what you can also do, too, and the more logical one, is that you can also have the headquarters. So that's pretty cool. I like the look of that. And even though, really... as much as I may sing the praises of having something like this displayed behind the figure, the likelihood of even myself doing that, I'm probably just going to put everything back in the box. I don't know if I'm really going to throw anything away, recycle anything away, but I think I might just kind of put things away. Maybe if I have a plan down the road to use a background like this, I can tell you I would use the background long before I'd use this box standee. I think that's, again, I don't think it's necessary at all. So let's just go ahead and take the Horde Trooper off. We'll just go ahead and remove the box. By the way, though, if once you do open up the box, what you would have found inside is a bag. What's inside the bag, you may ask, would have been this piece right here. This piece snaps onto the back of his body. There's two pegs right here, and then there's sort of a kind of canal dividing the two villages right down the middle. This is where they get the water. They go over there with their pails and fetch their water for the day. But if you look at the back of the figure, actually, there's two holes right here. Right away, I'll tell you, though, I wish the color was a little closer. They've spent a lot of time to darken the gunmetal gray or the silver that they're using. Unfortunately, though, they didn't do that at all when it comes to this adapter piece. Why am I having such a hard time getting that out? But this, the reasoning why we have to use this is then to store the sword and store the spear. One of these, either of those, actually can't plug onto the back of the figure's body without this. So again, you just kind of line everything up. Once you kind of do this the first time, it's kind of hard to take it. Oops, I just dropped it. Just dropped it. Butterfingers me. Let's go ahead and just line up the holes. There's the holes. There's the pegs. We're not going to eat a whole lot of this review just to talk about this, but just snap that in place like that. So we're going to come back to that because the two following accessories that we'll look at next both snap on the back of that thing in that little canal where everybody goes to fetch a pail of water. You get yourself a sword. You get yourself a spear or a scepter. A staff. I guess a staff makes more sense. We'll look at the staff first. all of them sort of come to the table with, again, the carried over trait of Hordak. So again, like you kind of got that dragon face, you got the bat wings on the side. That's very Hordak-esque, isn't it? I do like the look of this. This is kind of cool. It doesn't really have anything that I can see for the way of paint, but I think they've molded it really nicely in this dark red. The red actually matches really nicely to the crest that he has on the front of his chest. Now, he has that. He also comes included with a sword. I keep saying he. I don't know what he really identifies as. He identifies as dead. But again, you got a little Horde symbol there. Hordak's face. I mean, that's ridiculous. Hordak's face is literally on the front of the guard. And then again, you've got the wings on the sides. The color isn't quite as matching. I think actually like the scepter, the staff, I think is a little bit closer in color. Either one of these, by the way, or both of these for that matter, can be attached to the figure's hands. One thing I don't really like necessarily is the way they've gripped the hands. They've done it, I'm sure, deliberately so that he can hold it better than had he just had like a C-clamp hand. Unfortunately, though, it does mean you have to work a little harder to get that in there. So let's go ahead and take the staff. Again, just kind of wedge it in between. And it's not just enough to get it past the thumb. Oh no, there's a mission still ahead of you. Once you plug it underneath the thumb, you kind of have to take this and snap it underneath the fingers. So logically, I mean, you can understand why we arrived at where we did and why the hands have to kind of look arthritic like this. It's just so that once the staff gets underneath that, it's not going anywhere. I guess that makes some sense, right? You could also do the same thing, rinse and repeat the steps, which I'm not going to do. Just put the sword obviously in his hand. Now let's just say you're that kind of person that wants to be able to store stuff on your soldiers. Well, you know, again, like if you look on the back of the figure's body, this little canal, you take yourself the handle and expect pressure on your part to get this on its body. You really have to snap it in place. There's how he's sheathed the sword, and to do the same thing then with staff, make sure the helmet's all the way on there. There we go. Take the staff, get it back from underneath his fingers. Let go, and then do the exact same thing. So again, you just kind of push against it. There we go, and snap it in place. Seems a little bit easier now that I've done it a couple of times. The first time you do it, you feel like there's no way that's going to fit, and then just again keep being persistent. So again, there's a place at least to store the staff or the sword. You can't display both, so one will also have to go into his hands. So those are the accessories. Technically, he has one other thing that is removable, and that is his helmet. Now, here's a talking point I want to introduce to everybody. Horde troopers aren't robotic. They're not? Apparently not in the world of New Eternia, they're not. These are apparently prisoners that, again, he mind wipes, and then he turns. He essentially take the idea of the tall man and how he gets like those little dwarfs. Do we call them dwarfs anymore? That's sort of what Hordak's doing. He takes his prisoners, he mind wipes them, and somehow he turns them into like walking corpses. It's sort of then disgusting when you kind of think of the fact that these robots are blowing up in the cartoons. I mean, obviously a completely different backstory altogether. I prefer more the idea that a Horde trooper is a robot, so that you can go in there and just nonchalantly blow these things to Kingdom Come and not worry that there's a human or former human life or alien life underneath the armor. I mean, could you imagine if the Ninja Turtles were destroying all the foot soldiers, and then, sure enough, like Michelangelo looks down and, wait a minute, is there like blood coming out of the head of the foot trooper, and then they just find out that the foot soldiers have all been human ninjas, dead ninjas, but still human ninjas underneath. I prefer these things to be automatons, robotic automatons. Why I say all that so long-windedly is the fact that this does actually have a removable helmet. The helmet default looks good though. Unfortunately, though, by using translucent yellow plastic, it loses some of the charm that maybe like the original Horde Troopers would have had, because again, like to go in there and paint this yellow, from a distance, far away, you could still make out that it's yellow. This, unfortunately, though, like it loses some of that by having this being translucent plastic. Further away, though, it doesn't have the impact. I don't feel like it has the impact. You can remove, though, the helmet, and this is, again, like something I'm not so crazy about. This, by the way, what I'm showing you right now, will never find its way on the shelf displayed this way. By the way, the figure's head does technically have posability, so you can't really move it up and down, but you can at least swivel it back and forth. To get access to the head underneath, you basically just pry the top off. And this is basically what it would look like underneath. Maybe an orc? Kind of looks a little like an orc. But the face itself gives us, again, the idea, like, don't be destroying these things so casually, because, again, there's a life, there's a body underneath, whether the life has passed years ago or not. Now, they say, though, that he mind wipes these things. So, again, like, now that I think about it, you're not killing corpses, you're killing still living creatures. This is down the rabbit hole of a discussion I really didn't want to really have. Anyways, the face sculpt underneath is okay. If you like, if you like this kind of backstory to the Horde Trooper, then I guess it's okay. I mean, like, underneath though, it's kind of interesting that they've used like translucent red plastic. It doesn't serve a purpose necessarily. I mean, it's not like you can really, I guess if you got in there with a light, do I have a light source? Do I have a light source? You take yourself a light source and shine it underneath. Would that be enough to illuminate this? Probably not. Yeah, no, it's not going to illuminate much of anything. The top does look like you might be able to remove it, but I don't know really how you'd be able to detach it. It looks like it does. It looks like it's possibly pegged, not to the point where I feel confident enough to try to lift that up. So, like, again, he's got all this translucent red plastic. I don't think really serves much of a purpose, unless the idea is that you can get in there and light that up, and that's maybe why they chose to use like translucent yellow plastic. One thing you can also do too is that you can take this out altogether. Just take your finger, push against the plastic, and then fish it out. This wasn't giving me so much of an issue before, but just fish. There we go. Fish this out. And if you wanted to, it's not that it can really see much out of it, but as an alternative, you could put the helmet back onto his face, and he can look at you with his mind-wiped eyes. I don't know. It's just not my thing, really. Let's go ahead and put that back in place, though. And technically, though, I mean, also the mind-wiped prisoner underneath does technically have posability, so you can move the head up and down, and you can rotate it all the way around. Again, like that's if that's you, if you like that, that's okay. I'm not going to judge you at all. I again prefer to really have these things always mindless, always nameless. I don't want these guys to have backstories at all. I don't need to feel guilty at all that I'm blowing up a Horde Trooper, a foot soldier. I need these things just to be robots. By the way, again, I'm just going to put this back in place. All you have to really do is to use kind of guide the lifted plastic where the sculpting of the eyes are. Just kind of like line everything up in here and snap it back in place. Why now? Why now are we having such a hard time doing this? Oh, there we go. Something was just kind of telling me, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. You don't like it, don't even bother showing them. But I thought to myself, no, I'll show the viewers that you can take that off if you want to. Once you snap that back in place, there's a little lip of plastic on all the sides. You sort of just like snap it in to like the collar piece around it. For the rest, though, of the Horde Trooper, if you overlook that part, I mean, he's pretty faithful to the original design. This one did also blow up as well, so I think you have a little button here on the front. Did you pop it? I think you popped it. Let's take some blunt object. The idea, though, is it's supposed to blow up. It doesn't always work effectively. This Horde Trooper doesn't have that at all. What it does, though, is it still delivers us a pretty classic look to the character. Again, you've got Hordak's symbol there on the front. Looks quite good. The plastic looks really good, too. Like, it's a shame, though, like the color doesn't quite match the silver on the back. But if you're looking at the figure all the time from the front, you'd be none the wiser. It's a nice gold. It's been added in there as well. I kind of feel like the figure's a little on the, I don't want to say hollow side, but it's that kind of plastic that bulkier figures tend to have, where they don't weigh a whole lot. I mean, but there's mass to them. Does that make sense? Like, there's a good size to the figure, but he doesn't, like, if you were to add up all the weights of all the parts and the pieces, I don't think he would equate to a very heavy figure. He's also very wobbly there in the top of his torso. Again, we spin this around and show you guys all the details on this. I was kind of surprised. I expected really to see a lot of marbled plastic, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all. Plastic looks really good on this. Now, for the figure's articulation for the Horde Trooper, if you chose to take the helmet off, I'm not going to judge you if that's what you want to do. Technically, you'd have more of a posability with the ball joint inside. With the helmet the way that it is right now, the only thing you can really do is rotate this back and forth. Technically, all the way around, really, if you want to. The top of the torso does move. It is also on a ball joint. But again, it's a bit of the dinner bell, unfortunately. The lower half of his body is a little loose. The arms move forward and back, no problems there. You can also hinge the arms out comfortably because the way that they sculpted the shoulders, giving him, though, the T-pose is an easy thing to pull off. The figure does also have a swivel in his bicep. Single hinge only for the elbow. If you have, like, the arm turned this way, don't expect much. If you have it turned, however, this way, expect at least a 45-degree angle bend. Hands rotate all the way around. You can hinge those back and forth. The legs do split. Unfortunately, though, he's got these discs on the sides of his belt that do unfortunately cause conflict if you want to give this guy further splits than what I'm doing right now. However, though, you can move them forward, you can move them back. These legs do seem like you could drop them down. I mean, again, like if you just bring them up like this, obviously this is how it looks a little bit more seamless. I guess the idea is if you bring the legs down, that's where you get a little bit of mobility. But look at that. I mean, really, had that changed all that much? That's what it could do before. Bringing the legs down, that's what it can do right now. It's only by just a little bit more. Again, we just kind of pop that back in place. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh. There is a double hinge on the knee. That's at least good. And then you got ankle articulation. Not only does it move up and down, but you can also rock it back and forth as well. I don't know really if I had the chance to show you guys what it looks like on the undersides of his feet. He kind of actually looks like he's wearing like Batman's boots by the fact that there's a symbol right there. I think that's supposed to be Horde. All in all, though, it's a nice looking figure. For what it does as a hidden feature is a hidden feature I have no plans ever to display with the figure. Even if I plan to get more of these for at least the price that they're selling for, under $50, that's not bad. At the time, though, I did do the review of Despera, was actually the time that I pulled the trigger and eventually got myself a Horde Trooper. I know he's a little older, but he's still, though, a figure I eventually wanted to add to my collection. If you like the look of this Horde Trooper and you want something just a bit bigger, this is a perfect piece to get for that. You know, again, he does have some pretty cool accessories. Again, he's got the staff. He's got also the sword. One can be displayed in his hand. Technically, really, both could be displayed in his hand. Or one can also be pegged on the back of his body. Again, the only thing I really don't like is the idea of giving him a backstory that he's a mind-wiped prisoner. I like my Horde Troopers like I like my foot soldiers. They need to be robots. You need to have a hero carelessly, I mean carelessly, destroying hundreds of these things without the worry at all that there's actually a human life or an alien life underneath. Further taking me away from the way I like my Horde Troopers. Yes, in fact, you can take the entire shoulder piece off. The shoulder does attach with pegs and they attach to the tops of his shoulders. With a little lifting and a little persistence, yeah, you can take the shoulders off altogether, and this is what he would look like underneath, which would then explain why the figure does have the translucent red plastic. They have sculpted some cool details underneath, but again, we get so further removed away from the what I really want my Horde Trooper to look like. In the end, I suppose if you wanted to maybe army build these guys, some of them could look the way they look right now. Some of them could beeline it back to the way they should really look, if you ask me. Now, unfortunately, though, one of the unfortunate trade-offs is not only does he look a whole lot fugglier, but once you then take off the shoulder piece, there's no storage space to store the staff. So unfortunately, though, like he's going to have to be relegated to having either both in his hand or just choose wisely one of them and leave the other one in a bag. That little background, though, is one thing that, while I like that they included it, I mean, you know, to have it double-sided like this, who in their right mind is going to really display a Horde Trooper with a picture of a Horde Trooper behind him? What message are we conveying here? If this is the background of his battlefield, why would there be a big picture of him? Unless he paid someone to do a mural of him. But then, as a mind-wiped prisoner, who's paying a painter to paint a mural of him? I can't imagine Hordax doing that. He's already saving the money on these mind-wiped prisoners. He ain't paying them. I can't imagine that he's going to be paying a painter to paint a mural of them either. What did we even talk about? Well, we did originally start with the idea that the Horde Trooper is available on Mattel Creation's site. As far as I know, it's the only place to pick this figure up. It's not to say, though, that I'm sure you could probably go to other online sites. Maybe they also have listings of the Horde Trooper available there as well. But I can tell you, though, at the time that I picked up Despair was the time I picked up the Horde Trooper, and the Horde Trooper is still currently available on their site for $49 Canadian. I'm US! Okay, well, if you're US, expect to pay a little less than that. I can only speak as being a Canadian collector. As a Canadian collector, I paid a little less than $50. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of the Horde Trooper, and which look do you like more of him? Do you like him being unmasked? Do you even like the idea that a Horde Trooper is a person or a creature underneath, living or otherwise? I prefer really my Horde Troopers to be robots. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys disagree? Let me know what you guys think. If in the meantime you guys did enjoy this video, do it a solid throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Hit that subscribe. Of course, turn on that bell so you can get those reminders all the time that I'm posting new content and making sure, yeah, you're coming back because there's going to be more videos coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.